Your political reporter Shaun talked with our Democrat and Republican analysts about Barb Kirkmeyer getting into the race for governor.
Joining me are Republican analyst Dick Wadhams, our Democratic analyst Mike Dino. Thanks, guys, for coming in. So, State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer now in the race for governor. The field now 35 candidates, 15 Republicans. You know, she's obviously the biggest name Republican in the race so far, but she's still a Republican. Republicans haven't won a gubernatorial race in this state for more than 20 years. Does she have a chance?
I think Barb does bring a very unique ability to this race that we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, she has been on the Joint Budget Committee. She's taken the fight to the Democrats on the fiscal issues, and I think that's what voters are worried about. And she's probably the most visible Republican in the state right now because of her leadership in the legislature. And we're starting to see some evidence that the public is getting tired of this song and dance in the legislature with money issues. And so I actually think Barb is a very strong candidate, and she could catch fire.
The cost of living is going to be probably the biggest issue in this race next year. Mike, the two biggest Democratic candidates, we've got the Attorney General, Phil Weiser, and U.S. Senator Michael Bennet. Does Senator Kirkmeyer, do you think that she's a threat to either of them?
Well, certainly Senator Kirkmeyer has come a long way since she wanted to succeed from the state of Colorado when she was a commissioner in Weld County. And I say that in a good way. I think, you know, she's extremely intellectually capable. And so she's a very formidable candidate. And I think she raises the level of credibility on the Republican side significantly. It will not overcome who's in the White House. And so I give her a lot of credit for getting in the race, but it is going to be a futile endeavor.
How does she overcome that in Colorado, where you have, you know, I mean, really, you've got to get the unaffiliated voters, but she can't turn off those Republican voters who like President Trump. So how does she balance that, Dick?
Well, this poll that was released yesterday by Magellan, which is a very reputable law firm, or polling firm, they show that the Democrats are unpopular in Colorado right now. Senator Hickenlooper, Senator Bennet, and Governor Polis are all underwater now. They have more disapproval than approval. And Democrats are slightly more unpopular generically than Republicans. And so I think the winds are shifting. Now, Mike is right. Trump is still a big drag on Republicans in Colorado. And he's very unpopular in Colorado despite the unpopularity of the Democrats. And that's kind of the minefield Barb will have to walk in, that there's an opportunity here, but Trump is still the president and still dominates the headlines.
Do you think that Democrats can shift the narrative here in terms of this is not really about the cost of living, this isn't about fiscal issues, this is about the social issues, and go after Senator Kirkmeyer on things like abortion?
Well, Shaun, I'm not sure the Democrats will want to shift the narrative. I do think the economy is going to be top of mind, particularly the national economy, and certainly what the president has done to undermine it. And so I do believe they'll be running on the economy as much as anybody in 2026, and I think it'll be to their advantage.
That's the national economy. Then you've got the state. And so I think, Dick, what you're talking about is all the fees that we've seen come into play in the last, I don't know, decade, let's say, and then spending at the Capitol. You know, I hear from unaffiliated voters too, but even some liberals who are, gosh, another fee, right? And that is the message that she has certainly hammered on again and again and again down at the Capitol as a member of the Joint Budget Committee. And
quite successfully, I think. I think she's really emerged as the voice of the opposition to this profligacy by the Democrats. The other thing, Shaun, is that the Democrats love to beat up on Trump and the big, beautiful bill for Medicaid cuts. And Barb can really zero in that it is Governor Polis and the Democrats who are cutting Medicaid in Colorado, that by reducing the fee, the provider support rates. And so I think I predict that she will go after that heavy because Democrats are culpable with Medicaid cuts on that.
Well, and Dick's right. I mean, she's really good at talking about that stuff, and I think she's good in a way that people understand it. But I also think that it will be tough to wade through the national politics, and I do think that our economy has been undermined by the tariffs, which I think the governor, particularly in the last week, has done a good job of pointing out. Health care has a significant chance. It's slated to go up 25 to 30% in terms of premiums, and people are going to feel that. And then, you know, our clean energy economy has completely been undermined by this administration. Fortunately, and this is a credit to A.G. Weiser, I mean, he did sue to make sure National Institute of Health money got to our universities in the blue states. The red states will just have to watch that go by. But the bottom line is that the White House has done a lot to undermine our economic well-being here, and Barb's going to pay the price for that.
Does she have enough name recognition, do you think, in this state? I mean, certainly Bennett and Weiser do.
Not right now, she doesn't, Shaun. And in fact, that name ID advantage, this poll that came out shows that that name ID advantage is not very good because people see them more negatively than positively in the poll. But name ID comes as you campaign across the state, as you go on TV. Now, she's going to have to raise a lot of money. Democrats, you know, for all their protests that they don't like money in politics, they sure raise a heck of a lot of it, and she's going to have to match that. So that's a challenge for Barb.
And you know, there's something to be said for a woman being in the race of her profile.
Yeah.
Colorado, one of the few states that hasn't seen
Democrats
a female governor.
Have been wringing their hands for some time about this isn't happening. There's some ill feelings about Jenna Griswold, our Secretary of State, having to opt for the AG's race when she may have been, you know, on track to run for governor. And so, you know, that is something, and I think she has reasonable name recognition, having represented Weld County, having run for Congress. So, you know, it's much better than everybody else that's in the race.
That's right.
on that Republican side, and I think she's got a good step up at this.
Does she emerge from this primary, though? I mean, we're talking about her as though she were the nominee here,
right.
but she's got 15, 14 other Republicans she's running against. Many, we've got a lot that are much further to the right, than Senator Kirkmeyer is. But, it's in this primary, you got all those Republicans turning out.
Yeah.
Can she emerge? I mean, she's going to need a lot of unaffiliated voters to weigh in the primary to win.
I would predict, Shaun, it will be at least a three-way, if not four-way primary between people who get on the ballot through the convention and those who get on by petition. At least three-way. And that probably helps her, to be honest, because she's going to have the most name ID of the candidates who get on the ballot. But you're right, she will need some unaffiliated voters to vote in the Republican primary. And I think Mike makes a real good observation about her being the only woman in the race. I have long thought that Colorado wants to elect a woman to U.S. Senator or governor, even though we've never in our history done it. But I honestly think that's an advantage for Barb. That's not why she should win or will win. But I think in a political way, it is an advantage, and that'll help her in the primary too.
With the unaffiliated voters, especially.
Sure.
The key for her is staying away from the clown car. I mean, let the other candidates get in and out of it. She's got to be in her own vehicle. And you know, she is a strong enough personality. Yeah. And again, so intellectually capable that that's to her advantage to stay away from it. And if she gets caught up in it, that just makes it harder to have any chance in the fall of next year.
Okay, we'll see.